In Batman Dark Patterns, Michelle Rickson sits in a pool of blood, having just stabbed her husband and Officer Price to death. Now, why did she do it? Well, the voice of Scarface told her to. You see, the ventriloquist puppet Scarface is now the voice of this apartment complex known as Bletton Towers. But now that the voice has told Michelle to kill the hostage, there's nothing stopping the GCPD from storming the building. Elsewhere in Bletton Towers, Batman makes his way through an old service stairwell after he just rescued Arnold Wesker, the original ventriloquist. You see, Arnold Wesker grew up in this building and he would hide in his service stairwell. Batman deduces that later he would develop something else to hide behind in the form of the Scarface persona. Batman deduces that after he was released from prison, he came back to this building where someone took Scarface from him, the same person that just so happened to have cut out his tongue. But elsewhere in the building, as Officer Price lays next to the corpse of Michelle Rickson's husband, she finally comes to, but she can barely speak as her throat has been cut. But when we catch back up with Batman, he's found Michelle Rickson's apartment where they were originally holding Officer Price. Now, unfortunately, he's too late, and to make matters worse, he detects blood residue, possibly from multiple victims. Upon relaying this information to Commissioner Gordon, the GCPD suit up and get ready to storm the building. Wesker goes into the freezer of this apartment and retrieves a box. Now, this box just so happens to contain his severed tongue on ice. But elsewhere in the building, as Michelle goes into the apartment where all the goons are hiding, she asks everybody what the fuck are they doing as Batman is here. But unfortunately, everybody's morale has dropped. Originally, people were just fighting and listening to the voice of Scarface because they wanted to keep their homes. But now that Officer Price has been killed, it's just a matter of time before the GCPD storm the place. The voice of Scarface yells at the goons, warning them not to betray him. But one of these guys yells right back, telling Scarface, what the fuck are you gonna do? Now Michelle tackles this dude as she's all in on the voice of Scarface and she's having none of that shit. Meanwhile, as Batman continues his investigation, Wesker leads Batman to an apartment of an old married couple that has long since been abandoned. Batman deduces that Wesker met a girl that was pushed around and unable to protect herself. Wesker would teach that girl the skills of the ventriloquist. Wesker would leave the Scarface doll outside of their apartment, but her husband thought it was a prank and he tossed the doll down the hallway. Arnold Wesker would later sneak into Rickson's house and incapacitate him. By the time Rickson would wake up, Scarface would start talking to him. He thought she would use Scarface to improve their lives, but instead, they used Scarface to take over the entire building. But elsewhere in the building, when we catch back up with Michelle, she still listens to the voice of Scarface as Scarface tells her it's time to torch the place. As the GCPD storm the building, they're greeted by a fuck ton of smoke, and Gordon tells them that this is now an evacuation situation. There's another fire in Gotham City tonight, and this time it's the architecture of Bletton Towers. As the residents flee through the smoke in a panic, they're greeted by Batman that guides them out. Meanwhile, as Officer Price makes her way through the burning building, she hears a voice guiding her down the hallway, telling her exactly where to go until eventually she runs into Batman. Batman gets Officer Price out and they rendezvous with the GCPD. But as Arnold Wesker stares into the flames, it's almost like he sees the face of Scarface in the plume of smoke. In the aftermath of the fire, they've yet to identify Michelle Rickson's body. Batman states that fire was never Scarface's MO, so he wonders why she would torch the building. Not only were all the residents hearing voices emanating from the building, Officer Price also heard a voice. She heard the voice of her deceased partner, Officer Peters, who had been killed a day earlier in that same building. Strangely enough, it was that same voice that guided her through the burning building into the arms of Batman. The end. Thank you for watching.